Welcome to the Film Garage 208 podcast. My name is Sarah and this is Daniel.
Hello.
Hello. Today we have with us Emily, who is the Live Well Dietitian based out of East Idaho, but you're virtual.
Yes, that is correct. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give us just what is your business itself?
Yeah.
And then we can dive into you.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a registered dietitian and I work with women who have insulin resistance and PCOS. So I help them with a lot of different things. A lot of my clients I'm working with for fertility reasons or just improving their relationship with food as well as honoring their health, lowering their A1C. But I work virtually, so I meet with clients weekly, and I am a holistic person. So I like to look at, although I'm an expert in nutrition, I like to look at everything. So it kind of becomes more of like a life coach therapy session with the emphasis of nutrition. So that's kind of the quick story of what my business is.
Okay. So what do you have like a specialty with the type of people you work with?
Yeah, so PCOS and insulin resistance is pretty similar. So if you don't know what PCOS is, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it is very highly diagnosed in women. And you can have it from when you're, going through puberty all the way post-menopause. And so most of my clients I'm working with now are more like middle age in a sense of like reproductive middle age, so like 20s to like 35, and a lot of the clients I do work with are going through IVF or trying to get pregnant naturally. So they got diagnosed with PCOS when trying to conceive, and it didn't go well. So that's kind of the niche I've found, and it's very rewarding, and I love being able to help people start their families, and also kind of really honing in on like, let's do it in a very healthy way and form a healthy relationship with food while we're honoring our health.
Yeah.
So the PCOS, that's caused by food?
No, not necessarily, but you can use food and lifestyle to help support and manage it.
Okay.
So it's caused from a lot of different things. It's not quite known actually, but food and nutrition, lifestyle is a very great way to help support it.
Right? Because it's like, what are we putting into our bodies that's like affecting our internal so much structure.
And is that something that can affect pregnancy, since you said it happens with people going through IVF?
Yeah. So what happens is there's a few different things going on. To get diagnosed with it, you have to have an irregular menstrual cycle, insulin resistance, and or cysts on the ovaries, so polycystic ovaries. And then there's a lot of other symptoms that come from it. So a lot of it's a reproductive and a metabolic disorder.
Yeah.
What's the typical, I guess, what do they normally do to try to help that besides food?
Well, this is like a big woman's issue.
Yeah.
This is a big women's topic issue of like the ovarian syndrome, like fertility.
And it just like impacts a lot of people's confidence, because one of the biggest symptoms is weight gain. And just in society, it's hard to gain weight. It's hard to be in a larger body. So kind of working with like a whole like system, but it can cause the fertility issues because the cycles aren't regular. So things we can do to help support that would be, let's really hone in, support blood sugar. Let's lower the stress in the body. There's a bunch of different supplements that can help, which is very individualized.
Yeah.
But just kind of eating whole foods, finding good balance. There's like a bunch of like strong foundation pieces that we can kind of dive into.
Okay. So how did you get into doing this? What's your background?
Yeah, so I actually was diagnosed with prediabetes and insulin resistance.
Oh, wow.
In my freshman year of college.
Oh, man.
And so I decided, I was like, I'm not getting diabetes. And I went hardcore into—
I'm sure that like kind of rocked your world a little bit to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was not cool. I was like stressed out. I'm just like first time away from home. And so I decided I'm going to, shift the way I'm living. I started exercising. I started eating differently. But then it kind of went a little too far and I actually developed an eating disorder. So I am here now because I created something that I wish I would have had when I was in that situation.
Okay.
So one thing about PCOS for you is insulin resistance is a really big component of it. So it's really like part of it, but not everyone who has insulin resistance has PCOS.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that like all relates to your food that you eat and like how your body processes it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you going to school for? Did you end up getting like a degree in?
Yeah.
this field, or-
So I wasn't in school originally to become a dietitian.
Yeah.
But then I was like healing, and I was like, okay, what do I do? So then I transferred into my major of nutrition and dietetics. So I got my degree. I was already going to school for psychology.
Psychology.
So I actually doubled in psychology and nutrition dietetics. So
Great.
goes great together.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to become a dietitian, you have to go through like so many like hours and like testing. It's kind of like becoming a nurse in a sense, where you have to do like a special test and you have to do hours of work.
Actually be credible to tell people what to do with their
Yes,
bodies.
exactly.
That's good though.
Yeah,
Great.
it's great. I love learning. So
Yeah. Okay, so how long have you been doing this?
yeah, so I've been a dietitian since 2021, so about 3.5 years now. But I have been doing my own thing for about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what made you jump to doing it all on your own? What was that like point?
Yeah,
Like,
so
I can
I
do this.
always knew. Okay, I didn't always know I wanted to do my own thing, but like once I was a dietitian, I was like, at some point, I want to just do my own thing, because I was also on social media and I saw like, okay, it's coming. It's like really popular to like do like online coaching.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring something that was educated and credible to social media, because there's so much going on the internet that's
Yeah.
like confusing to people. So I wanted to be a reliable source.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like how it started, as I was posting on Instagram, and then I was like, oh, I could do this and help people.
Yeah. So that was your first step. You were just started posting on socials and
Yeah.
seeing how people reacted to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it went well.
Yeah, it went pretty well. At first, it was more of a, oh, this is like how to eat healthy and have a healthy relationship with food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely like transformed and morphed into more specific
Mm-hmm.
and kind of more like the gentle nutrition piece and improving insulin resistance, rather than just like eat for food freedom kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Have
Do
a
you-
niche.
Do you find that like recommending the foods that people need to eat is like harder now, or you have to be more careful because of like GMOs and processed foods and things like that, where you're getting it from? Like, is that a piece that you incorporate into your education?
Yeah, definitely. And it really kind of depends on who the client is, because with assessing for their nutritional needs, you also have to take into consideration what's their environment like, what's their access to food, what is their ability to prepare and cook foods, what is their like,
Yeah.
already the knowledge they have. But some people come in and they're already like, I saw this, I'm supposed to avoid this on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the pros and cons and what can you afford, because to buy
Right.
all organic meat, it's very expensive.
Mhm.
So kind of like, let's pick and choose some of the things
Mhm.
that we want to, prioritize.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Less intimidating to follow.
Yeah.
Because that
And-
can be hard when you look at like a diet book or something for the first time and they have all these recipes that look
Yeah.
great, but you're like, I never buy these things.
These ingredients are abnormal.
What does that
yeah.
say? Like, yeah, and
Yeah.
that can totally just stop you in your tracks right there if you're trying to,
Yeah.
because a diet you have to stick with long term, so you have to be able to like it.
Enjoy
Yeah.
it.
So it should be a sustainable lifestyle rather
Uh-huh.
than just like a rigid diet.
Yeah. So what does it look like when someone works with you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so I have been working on getting clients from a variety of different areas,
Mhm.
but the top one is actually I work with the Idaho Fertility Clinic. I reached out to the Idaho
Okay.
Fertility Clinic, and so I get some referrals from them. And so I've gotten probably like 50% of my clients are working through fertility.
Mm.
And then I'm also credentialed with different insurance companies. So
Great.
Blue Cross of Idaho, Blue Shield, right now UHC, working on Cigna. So I get people who find me through their insurance
Nice.
because it's
That's
covered.
great.
It's accessible. It's great. And then also Google. People will just Google dietitians, PCOS, and
Mhm.
I'll pop up. And then some through Instagram as well.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay. So how do they work with you? Do they just reach out or do they have to like fill out forms?
Yeah, so usually they reach out first, and then I send them a like application
Mhm.
just to make sure that they're a good fit, that they're going to be committed to themselves, that they're actually going to want to put in some effort, because it takes time, it takes energy, it takes
What does that look like? Like, what do you say to them? You're like,
Yeah.
are you really committed?
yeah. I always ask them, like, if a fairy godmother came and waved her wand, like, what would your life look like?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, how ready are you to make these changes, to make that your reality?
Mhm.
So kind of doing a lot of like identity based questioning and like really honing in on their why power, so we can be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
what's your motivation? Why is this important to you?
Totally. The psychology really goes in there for you.
Yes, it does.
So, like, this is all psychology with dieting almost.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, definitely. It's a mental game.
It
sure.
is. It is. So mindset is one of the top things I work on. So that's why it does take some time. So when clients come in, I'm like, it's going to take time because I'm not going to just give you a plan. I'm going to give you the tools so you can continue to do this. But also, if you tell someone, cut out this food, this food, this food, like that's not going to work. But how can we slowly implement changes?
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like I've done diets before where I've cut really hardcore and had to be really strict, and it's just so hard to maintain. And by the end of a time
gone
length
in
when
a
you do
second.
it, you're just like eating everything you
Yeah,
eat. You binge
binge
eat, a terrible
afterwards.
diet. Like that's an awful way to approach it, you know?
Yeah.
But then when you don't have that mindset of like trying to lose something or get a goal in a certain amount of time, and it's just like, I just want to be healthier. It's easier to like mentally
healthy
stick
life.
with, it seems like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so common to have that like restrict, binge
God, right.
kind of cycle.
Seriously.
Literally.
Yeah. Had a good week and then one night
Yeah.
you just binge a bunch of food.
Or
and-
like during the week you eat
Yeah.
really like well, you're really like eating your fruits and vegetables, and then on the weekend you're like pizza and fried chicken every meal.
Instead of a
Mhm.
cheat meal, it's a cheat weekend.
Yeah. Cheat weekend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's always the hardest part is like, it's just a cheat meal. It can't be a cheat every meal for the
Yeah.
whole
So
week.
when you work with these people, how do you keep them accountable?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I meet with them weekly, but I also offer chat support, and I'll randomly sometimes just message them and be like, okay, how did your goal go? And also we have like a shared journal for some of my clients that really like that.
Like online.
Yeah, like just like a shared Google Doc.
Cool.
And I have like reflection questions in there for them.
Nice.
And we set like micro goals each week, so that way it's like small, but it's going to lead to their larger goal.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Like having a coach, essentially, like a mentor to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Like, because that's really the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is like, if I'm holding myself accountable, we can kind of slip through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I have someone else watching me, maybe not.
Especially at the beginning when you just don't know things. Like if you don't know which foods are healthy or not, or which foods are the healthiest. And if you're trying to make these like decisions, it can be overwhelming. But if you have someone to run things by, just tell me yes or
True.
no.
Like
Like
you-
it's a little bit less scary, I guess.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I'll like to like ask them questions back. I'm like, well, if you're asking me this question, like, what do you truly think about that meal? Or how could you
Right.
make shifts to it? Like, I teach them the foundations, and I'll be like, okay, now what would you change about the meal you just had? So that way next time it's more balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, how do you stay creative while running your business?
Yeah. So I feel like this is very much like in regards to like marketing. I'm always trying to find new ways to bring people in. But I always just kind of focus on what are my clients that I'm currently seeing, what are their needs, and I go off of that, and I'll dive into more education, or I'll find new ways that they like to learn. So everyone likes to learn differently. So I'll create new handouts, or I'll, try to find some other good podcasts or something to send them. But really just evolving with the people I'm currently working with.
Sure.
And that usually ends up bringing more people in because everyone has some similarities in that sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you just have to look for a ton of resources then.
Yeah.
For and you make pamphlets too? Like,
Yeah. So I'll make some
yeah.
if I don't find something I love.
Yeah.
I'll look at all the different research articles, and I'll create my own handouts. But yeah, always learning, always trying to find new things and new ways to support people.
Yeah.
With the diets that you recommend, is it specific diets like a paleo diet or things like that you do? Do you get, or is it just like certain foods here and
It's
there?
more certain foods. So I believe all foods can fit, and I want my clients to have a healthy lifestyle, to be able to like go to Disneyland with their family and enjoy their ice cream cones and go out to pasta nights with their husband. So very much like let's find ways that all food can fit, but let's prioritize supporting our blood sugar. So let's really focus on lean proteins and fibrous vegetables. And then we can pair in every once in a while the more luxurious foods like pasta and pizza, those types of things.
In moderation.
Yeah. I mean, I think some diets are great, and so I'll pull things from them, like Mediterranean diet. That's super great. Insulin resistance causes a lot of inflammation, so Mediterranean diet is super awesome to help bring that down because it has a lot of omega-3s, like from the fish and olive oil and things like that.
Have you traveled out of the country?
Yeah.
Ever? Have you noticed when you have that food has given you like a different feeling than it does in the US? Like
Yeah.
maybe less bloated feeling?
Yeah, like me and my husband went to Italy a few years ago, and we were like, we feel so healthy, but we're eating pasta every day.
Every meal.
I mean, we're walking a lot more, but still, it's like so much.
It's true.
Is that like what do you think that is?
I think it's probably fresher ingredients,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
I know they have different standards there.
Yeah.
Like they have
do.
things that they like chemicals here that they will not allow. in
Things
their
are
foods
more
there.
preserved here,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah. Going to Japan on my honeymoon soon, and
Fun.
I'm like so excited for all the like
Ooh.
fresh food, the like probiotics, the kimchi, the
Yeah.
like fresh fish. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Where are
great.
you going? Where are you going to stay?
We're going to Tokyo, and then
Mhm.
we're going to Osaka and Kyoto. So kind of hitting the
Nice.
basics.
Yeah.
But we're going for 2.5 weeks. So
Sick.
That's a
That's
long trip.
awesome.
yeah, it's good.
That's gonna be so fun. I'm so jealous.
yeah,
That's so
I think
fun.
We're so excited, so I can't stop talking about it.
Literally. I'm just jealous because we had a trip because we lived in Hawaii and
Oh,
Japan was like really close to Hawaii.
Okay.
And so there was a cheap flight that was literally like 200 a person. And we were going to go to Japan for like a week. And then the week we were going to go, they discontinued the flight and canceled it.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to go on our Japan trip.
That's terrible.
I know, it's so
know.
sad.
Like, can they do that?
Apparently. Because I kept looking, I'm like, where's my refund since I'm not
Yeah.
going on my trip?
Yeah, that's wild. How long
So-
did you guys live in Hawaii?
6 years.
Fun.
Yeah.
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 Now
And
you're
so
in
I'm
a
just
cool
really
place.
jealous. Now I really want to go to Japan.
You can make it happen sometime.
We will. But so like kimchi and stuff. So you have people integrate other just types
Yeah.
of foods and flavors into their diets. Do
Yeah.
you notice any like pushback around
It's
here?
not like an all-American diet that you're recommending.
You're getting the probiotics from other things.
Yes.
Yes.
So if people don't like kimchi, kimchi is pretty.
I love kimchi.
I love kimchi too, but some people's like, I don't like spicy food, or I'm very,
Yeah.
more bland or more careful with their eating.
Mhm.
Then there's other ways to get probiotics in. So a big one's like Greek yogurt. That's more common. Or like any sort of fermented vegetable you can get.
Okay.
That's really healthy for your gut and supporting digestion. So
That was one
Find
thing
other
that was
ones.
funny moving to Hawaii was just all of that. There's always pickled everything
Pickled
on everything.
Everything's
Pickled
healthier
red
though.
onion
Like,
and- yeah.
fresh.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember when we went to the last trip we went to Mexico specifically, it just like stood out so much because we were in Mexico all week at this all-inclusive resort. I mean, I was drinking alcohol. Like I was not eating healthy. Like I was
Yeah.
eating everything. And I felt fine still though. And when we got home, we had McDonald's the first night after we landed. And oh my God, I woke up and I was like, what is happening? Like I felt like I was like
Eating a lot.
dying on the inside. And
Yeah.
it was just crazy because like it just was like that's American food. Like that was just processed like
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you weren't eating fries and other things in
Yeah,
Mexico.
I was
like
eating it there.
You were
Like-
still eating those
like-
things, but
I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but you like really notice it once you don't have it for a little bit
Yeah.
and you like adjust.
Yeah, I feel like with anything, like a lot of my clients will be like, really like, I need sugar. So one thing with insulin resistance is you have a lot of severe sugar cravings because your blood sugar is so imbalanced. So if you stabilize your blood sugar, they start to notice they crave the sugar less.
interesting.
And then when they eat it, I had a client tell me, she's like, when I eat sugar now, I eat a lot less and I'm more satisfied, but I don't feel as gross as I would have in the past.
Huh.
So it's like your body adjusts and like is able to tolerate the more
Yeah.
fun foods in a sense after you've like implemented more of the healthier
Yeah.
foods as well.
That's interesting to see how it directly correlated
Yeah.
to that.
So I wonder if like in Mexico it's like you were eating like other fresh foods as alongside the alcohol and the
Definitely was for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I was.
Yeah.
Because I like eating healthy. So like I
Yeah.
definitely picked off like healthy stuff and
Mhm.
but I
A
ate my
balanced.
fair share of bad food too and room service every night.
yeah, you got it. You're on
Burritos.
vacation.
But yeah, it was
Take
it was just
advantage
like
of
kind of alarming. I was like, whoa, this was like
The
such a
next day.
different change.
I should
in-
have gained weight on this trip and I lost weight.
Yeah, which is like weird. Yeah,
Right?
It's just
It's
it's
so
just
weird. It's so
Interesting.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since doing your entrepreneurial journey, have you faced any challenges along the way?
Yes, for sure.
Mhm.
I feel like the biggest challenge is like the imposter syndrome that comes along with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like I know as a dietitian, I know my knowledge, I'm educated, I have the experience, but as an entrepreneur, it's all new. I didn't learn about marketing, entrepreneurship in school.
Right.
So I've been kind of having to self-teach. So kind of the thoughts that come with like, can I do this? Am I going to continue to bring in clients?
Mhm.
Is this really going to work? So I feel like that's been the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And as I've just pushed through and been able to kind of find different connections and community along the way, it's definitely felt easier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say it's gone, the imposter syndrome, but I think that's going to be kind of a lifelong thing as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get the connection with insurances?
So it's a long process. So it's been a lot of effort, but it's been worth it because it's accessible for my clients.
Yeah.
But just going on their sites and like there's a long application that has to be filled out. It takes months. Yeah.
Well, great.
Yeah.
So that's like a must do. Get on the
Yeah.
insurance list.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of dietitians around the area on that list?
I don't know if a lot. There are some others. I think there's not very much. I also think this is another reason why I chose like to do insulin resistance PCOS is because it's in such high demand and there's no one around here that does it. And even a lot of like medical doctors, there are some great healthcare professionals in Idaho Falls, but some of them don't know about hormones and metabolic and like women's health.
I'll say I've got beef with the women's health here around here with the doctors. So
yeah. So it's kind of like finding that support,
Yeah.
being that listening ear and helping them advocate in the medical system has been like a huge part of what I do as well.
So you said you help advocate too as well, because that's like a big thing is like going to the doctor and them like low-key not believing you. Like
yeah.
it's like kind of you're getting harassed at the doctor.
Yeah. So we come up with like a list of questions and like I give them a list of labs I want them to draw.
Nice.
And I'll be like, okay, we need to ask these questions and you need to like speak up in these sessions.
Yeah.
So like kind of trying to help build the confidence for them to speak up for themselves.
That's great.
in their appointments.
Yeah.
Because then at least if they can get the things done, then we can like evaluate, discuss the treatment plans,
Mm-hmm.
if medication is for them, if they want to kind of do things more naturally
Yeah.
and have that discussion back and forth, and they'll have someone who's educated and knowledgeable to help them along the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so much more receptive to that with you approaching it from the technical standpoint as well, and not just saying like eat this because it's green and healthy, it's a vegetable. Like
Yeah.
you have the stats behind it of the whys and
And I love to run labs and evaluate them. It's just fun for me, but also
Facts,
it's like, yeah, it's the hard facts. So like I'll have someone run their A1C when they first come in. You know, it's
And
safe.
like you work with a lab or like you just have them go to the doctor.
I
and
just have
like
them go to the
have them do
doctor.
that.
I still have to figure out like how I can do more. That's in the works of
Yeah.
like how I can do more holistic like lab testing.
Mhm.
But like we'll look at their A1C. One client came in 6.5, then we check it 3 months later, 5.5 in normal range. So
Mhm.
just very like, let's look at the facts and see like
Good.
these changes and small changes
Yeah.
are making such a big difference.
So how do you price yourself for services like this? So I guess you have insurance that helps
Yeah.
them. But yeah.
So most of my clients who have insurance pay zero out of pocket, which is
Great.
amazing. But I do have some people who I'm either not qualified with their like credentialed with their
Mhm.
insurance, or that their insurance like unfortunately doesn't cover dietitian services. So I do have some affordable self-pay options. And I also can offer some it's called like a super bill, which they can submit to their insurance if I'm not credentialed and get reimbursed. So if I do have a self-pay, it's kind of dependent on did they
The
work with me in
situation.
the past
Yeah.
and like how often they're wanting to work together. But
Mhm.
typically I work with clients for at least 4 months at a time
Yeah.
because it takes energy, work to see the changes. 4
Yeah.
months is my minimum. A lot of clients will work with me past that. But right now, I mean, if I was to work with a client with insurance each month, it would cost them $800. But for
Through the insurance.
Through the insurance. But with self-pay, I do like half of that. So
which
it's
gets them like
$3.99.
how much of your time? Like what does that include
Yeah.
in a month?
Yeah. So for a month, I usually work with most of my clients weekly. So we'll see each other for an hour every single week.
Like on Zoom?
So it's like a HIPAA compliant Zoom. Yeah. So like
Okay.
a HIPAA compliant video
Mhm.
service.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also am able for chat support. So say they are like, okay, my husband just asked me to go to dinner and I have a last minute
Mhm.
date. Can you look at the menu with me? Then we'll chat. Okay.
Nice.
What do you want?
Do
What
people do
sounds-
that?
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Or like they'll be like, I read this ingredient at the store, this granola or this granola. Like, what one would you choose? And then I'll kind of like go back and forth with them.
Yeah.
So I get that a lot, actually.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's good that they like are really comfortable to like literally ask you those little questions.
Yeah.
Every question.
Yeah. I encourage them to because
Yeah.
I want to be a support in every way. I
Mhm.
want to be their friend. I want them to be like excited to talk to me about their health and feel comfortable.
Not
'cause it
scared to
is-
come and talk to you.
Yeah, it's such a vulnerable place to be
Yeah.
talking about your nutrition. Like
Yeah.
nutrition is a very vulnerable place to kind of talk
Mm.
about.
Do you find that a lot of these people that you work with kind of trickle down what they learn to their families and friends and like the the knowledge of
spreads.
how to be
Yeah,
healthier.
for sure. Especially their partners because they're
Yeah.
in the same household, their kids. Also, like I've had some where it's like, oh, they already have a child and they want to learn like how should I talk about food with my kid so I don't put like the
Yeah.
shame I had around food on my
Yeah.
kid as they grow up, but still have those healthy habits. So
Yeah.
I definitely see that a lot.
That's really cool. That's a good idea to like pivot off of social media. It's like ways to talk to your kids about food.
Yeah.
I need to check out your social media and see what you've been pushing on there.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah,
always
sure.
come up with random ideas.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I
Like,
always
let's
do
make
that
you
too.
go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you worked with anybody in town that has been able to enhance your offerings?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients are actually here in town, so it's like the referral and community connection through them as well. So I work with someone, they enjoy it, then they refer their friend. So a lot of that, but also the Idaho Fertility Clinic. I've reached out to different health medical clinics. It's definitely hard to get in. The doctors are a hot commodity, very busy.
Yeah.
But still working on that. But mostly the insurances too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
most
that's
of
so
my clients
awesome.
are local from Idaho Falls, or at least like the region. So,
Gotcha. Not too many like across the country.
no, I only have like 2 in like Washington right now.
Nice.
But I'm licensed in like 20 states, so I'm able to.
I didn't even think about that. So you could only promote in states you're licensed.
Yeah. But right now I'm like, it's like 20, 15, 20. So I can see quite a bit
That's
of
still a lot
people.
of states.
Yeah. And I mean, most of my outreach is in Idaho Falls.
Sure.
So.
Do you have to get certified in each state, or is it a certification that covers certain states?
Yeah. So it's each state,
Wow,
unfortunately.
that's a lot.
But I'm a
You've
registered.
been working a lot on this.
Yes, it's a lot of effort, but registered dietitian in the nation, but then licensed dietitians in the states.
Per state.
Lots of paperwork, I imagine, to
Yes.
get there.
Yes, and then since I just got married, I had to change my name on all of them, and that
Oh,
was
no.
like another long
Yeah, I
time.
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So is the goal for you to grow just to keep connecting with more insurances and just expand that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm going to continue with insurances and then also like continuing to reach out to the different clinics in like Boise and different places in Idaho to start. And so just
Yeah.
really kind of like focusing on Idaho and kind of going from there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you could host like in-person classes and stuff like that. Just
That's on the horizon.
Yeah.
I want to do that in January. I want to do like a little like group like get together, just form a good community
Mhm.
for these women to like really connect and hang out and kind of do like maybe like a fun like herbal tea like building for like different symptoms. So I always
Yeah.
come up with fun ideas
That's
too.
cute. So you said you're mainly virtual. You don't have an office in town,
I don't have an office in town. No.
right?
So just virtual. And most people enjoy it because it's very like convenient. And
Sure.
they can be like, oh, I work from home, so they can just like jump in on their lunch break, or
Mhm.
they can, right after work, just have a quick chat and then move on with their day.
And
So,
that's nice for you to not have like to pay rent at an office space.
yeah.
yeah, it is nice.
That's really nice.
It is super nice.
Kind of going back to what you said about the tea. So does that mean that you're knowledgeable in like herbs and all of that stuff too? Because that's like a
Yes.
whole nother.
I
Dang,
love
that's-
I love herbs and like more like natural supplements, and I'll try to offer those first.
Cool.
Obviously, I think medications have a purpose.
So
but,
if you like went out to the forest, could you make like an herbal tea? For
Probably
people to
not.
know and-
The forest.
but like I could like read a tea label and be like, oh, it has licorice root and that's good for like detox.
Yeah. No, but I like
That'd be
that
fun to just
idea.
hear you break some recipes down like that. I'd be so curious because half those words you look at, I'm like, I don't know what that does.
Is that Chinese herbal medicine? Is that what that's
Yeah.
called? Kind of.
Yeah, more
That's
like
really cool.
Eastern.
I like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, that's been like a little newer for me, but I've been loving like I've always like used tea as like a like there's always like the ones for like digestive support or dandelion root. Spearmint's really good for PCOS because it helps with like androgen detox. So
Mhm.
there's like a lot of different fun ones for women's health and
Yeah.
hormonal balance.
It was
Bling Empire on Netflix.
What about it?
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
They live in like LA and they go to like multiple times to this like natural herbal medicine doctor. And so it was
Okay.
basically a store full of just like everything, like every root
I love
and
that.
everything in the whole world. And like they would go in and the guy behind the counter was like, show me your tongue. And I think they would like look at their tongue and diagnose them
Oh
and
my
like give them a bunch of stuff in that
That's funny.
time. think that's
Yeah,
funny.
there's like a local tea place here that has, it's not like broken down by herbs, but
Yeah.
she makes her own blends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's down by it's like inside the Metamorphosis store.
Got it. Okay, that makes
I
sense.
don't remember what it's called, but it's pretty good.
I worked with a guy like that once in Hawaii when I first moved there, and this was like before I knew that tea was more than just like a green tea Tipton bag or something, or Lipton, whatever that is.
Tipton.
Or Lipton or Tipton? What did I say?
It's Lipton.
Lipton. So that's what all I thought of tea, you know. And one of my coworkers next to me, I think he was Korean, but he opened up his cabinet one day, and someone was like, "He's the tea guy," and it was like hundreds of different things, and he was like what you're saying, like he had them for a reason. It was like all like he knew it all to it. This is that.
I want to be that level one day.
He had like everything, and I was just like, this is what tea means. Like oh, okay.
Oh
But
my gosh, a tea bar.
it was just beyond
That'd be
me.
so
I
cute.
was just like, I didn't know what any of this meant.
We need a tea bar here.
That could
There's
be
one in
actually really
California,
cute.
and it's like my favorite. Whenever I go visit family, I'm like, it's my favorite thing. So we need to have one here.
We do.
Right?
We do.
Ran by someone who knows what
About
is
tea.
happening.
I was gonna say we
Yeah.
can't put that on your plate. You're already busy.
Yeah. I don't want to own a restaurant, but I'd like oversee it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can,
I'll partner.
can
There you
yeah.
go.
There we
Yeah.
go. One day.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage your time and prioritize your tasks with running a business, your own personal life?
I work a lot for sure, but I feel like a lot of it's like, I mean, you probably hear this all the time. It's like I enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like work. But I also try to like live the way I try to encourage my clients to live. So having balance, turning off screens by a certain time, you know, trying to go to sleep by, you know, a decent time,
Mhm.
waking up, seeing the sunlight. Like I try to like keep my evenings and my mornings like screen free,
Interesting.
disconnect.
Do you recommend that? Should we be doing that?
It is really good for you.
I can't do it.
We're like literally working on the screens constantly. So
No.
Yeah, it is so hard.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is. It is. I know last night it was like 9 p.m. and I was like, I should probably get off my computer.
But it's different. It's work. Like my personal socials, like I haven't posted in so long.
But it's just
Yeah.
no, it's for your well-being.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Just looking at the blue
turning off
screen.
and going to bed.
Do you wear blue light glasses at least?
No.
We got
We
some,
got
but they
some.
bother me to wear. I just don't like them.
I probably need to find a better blue light glass.
Yeah.
It is weird. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Because I have
hard.
noticed it too. Like sometimes when we're doing it for days, like my head and my eyes are
Yeah,
just like.
I know. I got into them during COVID because I was like finishing school, working on a computer. I was like, I've never looked at a computer this much, and my head just hurts.
Did it help you?
Yeah, I wear blue light glasses now, like throughout the
time?
day. Yeah,
Wow.
wear them like all the time, just
Oh.
like at a screen though, because
Yeah.
it's like a
like
real,
on your phone and like
maybe not my phone, but like anytime I'm on a computer.
not the TV.
Do
just, like-
Yeah, not the TV.
What's that other show on Netflix? It's like the 100, the Century.
The center. It's like
Have you seen
Centurions or
that?
something.
You're gonna have to go home and watch
They
it right now.
basically take like
Okay.
people from different regions, all twins.
The highest. No,
Like the 5 blue zones.
the blue zones.
Yes.
Okay, I've heard about it. I haven't
Mhm.
watched it yet, but I have.
You
been
should
wanting
watch
to
it because
that.
they like highlight Japan as one of the highest
Okay.
ones and like the reasons why. Because it's like they're constantly walking, they're constantly kneeling down and sitting on the floor.
Because they don't have tables or chairs. They use those short
Yeah.
tables. So like just even that little movement of sitting on your knees every night to eat dinner or on the ground,
Yeah.
like we don't sit crisscross applesauce. Like how many people probably can't, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right?
and-
It's like if you don't do
but
it,
yeah,
you
they
lose
put
it.
one person who's a twin on the plant-based diet and one on the meat-based diet.
Is that the
and just to see
Centurion one?
the-
That's a different one.
I'm like, that sounds.
That's a
interesting,
different
too.
one, but
I'd
that
be
is a
interested
cool
about
one too.
that.
That one's really interesting also because they
Yeah.
do like the full body stats
I
and
don't
like
remember
do like a
that, yeah.
body scan of like
Yeah.
how they are, and they are totally different at the end of the
Okay,
twins
I
who
need to
do like
find
a.
that
But that's a
and-
different one. The Centurion one just like highlights the different zones and like who's lived the longest. Like,
Okay,
the longest
yeah.
lifespan.
I've heard about that one. I haven't heard about the twin one, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
look both.
They're
those up.
both.
I
Really
think we
good.
started watching it on like Mexico Netflix when we were on vacation. So I don't even know if
If it's on.
on here. Yeah.
It definitely was at one point because I saw it, but I hate when they like
They
take
just,
things
yeah,
and mess them
filter
all
it
up.
out.
But that one is actually so insightful because you can literally see it.
Like the change.
Yeah.
I bet you'd find it really interesting.
What's the change that you noticed? Do you remember?
Well, I'm more thinking like the ones who've lived for so
For
long.
long.
It's like the biggest key was just daily activity, exercise, walking
Yeah.
up hills.
Like the little things that you like take the stairs. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
drink
it really
more
is.
water. Like,
Yeah. The eating food in Japan, like eating like, what was it? A lot more like rice and fish and kimchi diet. Like they had like
Yeah.
a very specific, there was like a certain
One that
diet.
was interesting, I think it was Italy, and they were saying that it was either Italy or Sicily or something like that. And they were basically that their diet was red wine, pasta, and bread and cheese. And they were like, but they're living to be 100 on the regular. And
Yeah.
it was just peaceful living. Like their days were not stressed.
They had friends.
They had a really big
family.
importance on
Yeah.
like community involvement,
Mhm.
and just not
Everyone
having
took
a
care of
day
each other.
full of tasks. And I know it's
Yeah.
not everyone can do that, but like that was what they did. And I think just being okay with like slowing down.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
And-
a big thing. Like slowing down during meals and trying to. This is another thing, like not using screens while eating. So how can we?
Me. I'm like an
eat
iPad
a
kid.
meal? I know. I like to watch TV while I
Always.
eat
I
sometimes,
am.
too, but-
Never turns off. Big Brother or
I'm a reality TV
Reality
junkie,
shows.
so.
Okay. Have you been
It's my
watching
vice.
the Mormon
Oh,
Wife?
I've watched it all in a day. Did you watch it?
Catch
We're almost done with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that
That's
one's
a whole
crazy.
nother topic.
Yeah. Another podcast.
That's
Yeah.
another podcast.
I
I
feel
could talk about that a lot. Okay.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who is wanting to pursue their own passion or start their own business?
Yeah, for sure. It'd probably just be like do it and do it your own way. So I feel like for me, I was like gonna do like the, traditional, not traditional, but like coaching online, using Instagram, being more like just like a social media dietitian.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I am not having as much success as I want. So then I started doing more like community based stuff, reaching out to
So
people
smart.
in the community and kind of
Yeah.
trying to just form the relationships and really just focusing on what's going to work for me and shifting it. So
Mhm.
just kind of find your own way, and it's going to look different as the world and like, technology's evolving.
Yeah. We're all evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ourselves, even what we like. And
Do you find that more people are open when they come to you to your recommendations since they're in a place that like they don't know what they're doing, and or are they kind of like defensive and like making it hard for you to
Depends
make
on
them adapt?
It depends on the client. Some
Mhm.
clients are very like deep into like, I have done Whole30, I've done paleo, I've done the carnivore diet, and I
great.
I don't eat any soy. Like I don't, I won't eat
Mhm.
any sort of like, I'm only plant based. And so it's like, okay, let's break down why you think this way. And so it usually takes a little more like mindset work.
Your
but
psychology background.
The psychology background, yeah. And then it will kind of fall into place. And I feel like after we have that strong rapport, it does. They'll take that recommendation. They'll at least try it.
Yeah.
Are you
That's good.
familiar with that thing you can send in your saliva? I think it's called Noom, and it tells you like
they have the
foods you're
different
allergic to,
things.
basically.
Is that what it's called?
So it's like
Noom.
Noom's a different diet.
It's a different.
It was something like that, where it just basically tells you what you're allergic
it is.
to,
It's
and
like a
like food wise.
I haven't. I
it's
don't
like
know.
an allergy test.
There's like a food allergy test.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a place for, but I think oftentimes, depending on like how also like your gut microbiome, you could technically not be okay with some foods. But if we shifted the foods you're eating, you might be able to digest the other foods that you were technically like intolerant to.
Uh-huh.
If we had a better gut microbiome, we lowered the inflammation in your body. So it's kind of like a hit or miss with those things. Obviously, there's
That
true
makes sense.
allergies, but intolerances and sensitivities, I think we can kind of more work around. To
Yeah. So
find.
versus like getting one of those kits, it'd be best to just come to you.
Where do you
and
think that
figure it out.
disconnect comes from in learning? Like, why don't we know more of these things? Like, just the general public of gut health. Like, why isn't that more of
Right?
a
Talked
topic?
about.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know.
'Cause it seems like it
Honestly,
just
I feel
should
like
be.
I think it's also because of social media that like misinformation can get easily widespread because
Sure.
it goes viral or it gets trendy or
Mhm.
one person saw a result from doing something, which everyone's different. So,
Mhm.
Intermittent fasting might not work for someone who has PCOS, which I wouldn't recommend it. But like for a man, it might work just fine. It might be great.
Mhm.
So kind of like everyone's different,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
social media can spread things.
Yeah. Well, speaking of social media, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I am a Live Well Dietitian with an underscore. 'Cause
Okay.
That was what was available on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I have a website. It's livewelldietitian.com. And so those are the two places that you can find me.
Okay.
Who's got Live Well Dietitian without the underscore?
I
Give it
don't
up.
know. I know. I looked them up. I'm like, they don't even use this.
It's
God,
always so annoying. It's like a
annoying.
dead Instagram page. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, great. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today. It was so great getting to learn more about you and this awesome business that you're providing.
I feel like I need some
thank you.
education now. I need a class.
Yeah, who's your
Yeah.
insurance?
I know, right?
I know, we can reach out.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you cover us.
Yeah.
So yeah, she takes insurance. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
really,
like
though.
that's huge versus like being an online coach and
Yeah.
like just like having people sign up. That's so smart.
It is. It makes, because I feel weird asking people for money. So whenever it is a self-pay client, I'm always like, I'm awkward. But then I'm like, but like, I know I'm the value.
100%.
And so when it's insurance, I'm like, this is
Give
a
it to me.
no-brainer. This is a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And insurance is like pretty on top of paying out. They don't take too long.
Depends on the insurance.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really fast.
Well, at least you know it's coming eventually.
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. Do we have any messages? When does this podcast come out? I think this podcast will be out in 2 weeks.
It's
actually.
definitely going to be out before the Halloween contest.
Yeah.
likely.
So we
yeah.
I have our little plug right here. We have our Halloween contest.
Oh, fun.
It is a amateur film contest. So you have to record a video that's 4 minutes or less, and we give you like a couple of stipulations. Like last year, you had to use the word boo in your video and have a scene lit with only one light. So then
Wow.
you can like work with your friends and family and make a scary Halloween short, and then you
Fun.
submit it. And last year we chose a winner for $1,000, but this year we have elevated it, and so we're gonna do one winner gets $1,000, and then there's gonna be an online vote for favorite video,
The crowd favorite.
and
Okay.
then
which would
that
be out of
person
all the entries.
will get $350. And then we're gonna have an in-person viewing party this year at Center Stage.
Oh, fun.
So all the people can come to Center Stage, and we'll all sit in, it's like a theater. We'll watch
Mhm.
all the
Watch the top 10
top
and
10.
vote for the one that we think everyone thinks is their best favorite, and that
Yeah.
person gets 150. So
Yeah,
That's so
three
fun.
chances to win.
it'll be fun. So
Yeah.
we're excited for the viewing party too, because we're gonna have it be like spooky cocktail, and you can walk the red carpet.
I love that. Can anybody go?
Anybody can
Yes.
go.
$5 entry, but all the ticket proceeds are being donated to the Snake River Animal Shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not making any money
Yeah,
on it. It's
and
just purely
Chick-fil-A
for
Is
involvement.
That's super cool.
yeah, Chick-fil-A sponsoring, so everyone will get a chicken
first
sandwich.
150 people get a sandwich and cookie.
I love that.
Mhm.
When is this?
October 29th is the viewing party.
Okay.
But if you want to make a video, it'll be on October 1st that our rules for this year are released.
Okay.
October 1st through 18th. So
Mhm.
you have like 3 weeks to get
Okay.
it together. But we had
film,
people
edit.
film it on iPhones last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like
cool.
it can sound intimidating, but like
I'm like, I'm not.
we had people who had never
Videographer.
even touched
Yeah.
like editing before and
Mhm.
Okay.
put together some pretty good stuff because
Mhm.
we watch it with the expectation that it's like an amateur doing it.
Yeah.
We
You know,
know.
I'm not expecting Hollywood. So it's just fun to see a good plot and people trying. Like
Right.
honestly, the end result of like the quality really doesn't matter. It's more of just what
The
you do.
effort.
Yeah, the effort you go through and the plot.
Fun.
Because last year there were some pretty good scary ones that were like actually like a couple film students. Like the winner was a film student from BYU, of
Mhm.
course.
Okay.
So his was great.
Yeah.
And quality and everything.
Uh-huh.
But he had a really good plot too. So that's
Yeah.
why it
Okay.
won. But there was this other one that a family filmed on an iPhone
Mhm.
and it almost won. And it
Mhm.
was like not produced. I mean,
And it was more of a comedy
uh-huh.
scary. It was like kind of comedy scary.
Okay.
But it
I
was
love that.
so great.
It was like the plot was the dad or the kids were at home waiting for their babysitter and the parents weren't home and someone knocks on the door and he's like basically he's like a vampire and changes his look every time. It was probably their dad acting.
Yeah.
But it was just the script was funny and like it had a punchline at the end and like it was just crazy. Like people who never did it before almost won.
Like
That's
So-
so,
it was
that's
so
so
good.
cool.
It
That's
was so
so
cool.
fun.
Fun
Yeah.
family thing too.
That is
yeah.
a fun thing.
So just a random thing.
Yeah.
Just a little fun.
Just a little fun. So
Mhm.
yeah, if you want to get into the spooky mood,
Yep.
it's Halloween, do the Halloween film contest.
Yeah.
You can technically do it anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, we're
if you want.
promoting it mostly here, but
But
it's
we're promoting
technically
it here.
open. I think last year we had an entry from Guam actually.
There was one from like Korea last year
There's
too.
one Korea, one from
That's so
Guam.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was creepy. The Guam.
It
one.
was it was like alien.
He made
and,
some
like,
creepy
it was
alien. It was really
creepy.
good.
Yeah.
That's
But-
so cool. That's
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah.
If you're a Halloween person, check it out.
Yeah. But you should definitely come to the viewing party.
Yeah, I will.
You should.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She's gonna
Now
be
that
like,
we've talked-
"Don't eat all this food." It's Chick-fil-A popcorn.
Popcorn.
So
Soda.
say I'll bring my vegetables.
Yeah.
She has celery and carrots with her.
Chick-fil-A in one arm, celery in the other.
Balanced diet.
Yeah.
Okay. Live Well Dietitian _.
Yes.
Instagram, or you look her up on Google.
Yeah, or you can Google
She
me.
takes insurance.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks for
That's the
coming
one.
on.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.